This is our nightly kick-around of all things World Cup. Peter Welton, Andy Swift, and Lars on World Cup Kick-Around. Brought to you by Pantalones Organic Tequila, The Wolf of Wall Street, and Sports Radio 96.7 and 1310, The Ticket.
On the ground. And saw the trip. Oh, goodness! Wonderful strike. And then Assour. Egypt in the lead against Belgium. Walk like an Egyptian. Fire them like an Egyptian.
Welcome to World Cup Kick-Around Match Day 4 and 5 here on Sports Radio 96.7 and 1310. The Ticket, where you, the good soccer-loving P1, sits around, watches the World Cup and all that implies. Don't forget, you can find out all the details of how you can listen to the show live on the radio or later after the fact on our podcast on our website, thekickaround.com. I'm here. Andy Swift is here. Andy Swift is here.
Hello, Peter.
Pay attention to the radio show.
Sure, yeah.
And all the way over there, fresh out of his Alto, it is your favorite Norwegian in mine, Lars Sivertsen. Howdy, Lars.
It wasn't me this time. Someone, not me, forgot to turn on the microphone.
Actually, I was just not paying attention.
Not even paying attention. I know. There we go.
We've been doing this so much, Andy's already tuned me out.
That's been 14 years.
Once again,
we're what, 5 days into the tournament? This is a bad sign, guys.
Yeah,
This is not where we should be at this point.
Not good. Not good.
Well, as we are doing this in the waning moments of Saudi Arabia and Uruguay knotted at 1, I thought the Saudis were going to pull off the back-to-back first-round upset, but Uruguay is pressing, and the Saudi keeper, what would you say, has made 3 unbelievable saves in the last 5 minutes?
He's made a few big saves, but actually, for people who aren't watching it, Uruguay have not been. Oh, that's another save. They've not been very good. It's really only the last sort of couple of 10 minutes they've been able to do it. It reminded me of, do you know when you go fishing? If you're ever fishing from a boat and you catch something pretty big and it's on its way out, it gets tired, but there's always like a burst of life when the boat is in sight. You know, the fish will get whatever is left. This is like the boat is in sight for Uruguay. The upset is almost here, and we're seeing the last little bursts out of them, but it looks like it's heading towards a 1-1. We got a corner now with 40 seconds to go, but I think this is going to be another upset in a couple of days that have been upset-tastic.
Yeah, the tournament has not been kind to the brackets.
No, but look.
That's what the World Cup's about.
I love it.
It is.
Like,
The surprises early, especially first games.
100%.
It's just playing out.
We want to thank Alto for hauling Lars around while he is here in Texas. He's the king of Alto.
Yeah, big
shout. How was your trip to the station today?
Yeah, big shout out to Colby, who was my driver today. Very good driver. And I was actually watching. This was the first instance of me watching a game in the Alto, and it was good.
Oh yeah,
the Wi-Fi worked. I could plug in my phone. Absolutely fine. You can watch the World Cup from your Alto. It has been confirmed.
Do you get out there on the curb and just do the Viking horn? Is that how you call Alto? And Alto knows to listen to it?
And they just come.
Or do you actually do it the traditional way?
Andy, but I feel like this is the next step.
They've made a special Lars Alto Viking horn.
Meter,
do people like if there's random people blowing horns on the street in Texas, does that go down well, or is that something that confuses
Viking
the locals?
horns? We will think it is a very cool thing.
Okay.
Man, I can't tell you how many people have come to me and said, "Where's Lars?"
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't keep him in my pocket. He's not. He's
an independent.
He's an adult human being.
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you, Alto. By the way, if you're looking for a way to get around while traffic is mad during this time, you should check out Alto. If you're in town, from out of town, and you're looking for the best, the finest of rideshare, Alto is for you. RideAlto.com. They have their own drivers. They own their own cars. It's super consistent, super nice. And Andy loves it so much, he's a subscriber.
I do. I swear by it, Peter.
Alto. Thanks, Alto. All right. We got a big day to fit in a ton of stuff because we haven't been on the show since afternoon Saturday.
13 games, I think, we've missed.
13
How
games.
is this going to work in an hour, Peter?
I have no idea.
Can we times 2 our speed up our speech in real time? No, we can't do
Given
that.
that I already speak slightly too fast when on the radio, I think this is a terrible idea.
So if we go 1.5x and we do it that way, when people listen to the podcast version, then they're getting it probably 3 or
right, exactly,
3.5x.
Are you a two-timer or
no,
1.5?
It offends me that people listen to podcasts fast.
So you're a one-time?
I am
1X?
a real time. That's the way the artist intends.
Oh, my God.
Andy, not
Also,
to be
what you want to try
Mickey Mouse
sometimes,
voice.
it's not very time efficient, but just put it on halftime, because then the guy will sound like he's been on the horse tranquilizers. You know,
We
it's
should
a very,
introduce
it's a
Peter.
very
I
interesting
mean,
experience,
Lars
yeah.
to
We should,
ticket.
into slowing down the
Yeah.
audio, 100%. All right, before we take our first break and get into the unbelievable experience that I had yesterday, Andy had yesterday out at the stadium, it's time for Andy's World Cup quiz.
All right, we're in the thick of things. Lots of teams now have played their first games. We're about halfway through, I think, or a little bit more through the first round of games. And some of the traditional powers, widely considered to be the 8 champions plus that team that has reached 3 finals, they're also clumped into the traditional powers. About half of them have played their first game, about half still to go. Out of those 9 teams, name the only 2, speaking of first games, that have lost at least as many matches as they have won in all of their World Cup opening games through time. In other words, they're 500 or worse. By the way,
They had to have won the World Cup at least once.
Yeah, or be that team that has reached the World Cup 3 times that I will
final.
not mention by name. Yeah,
Okay.
the World Cup final 3 times. One is way under 500. The other one is right at 500. There's 2 of them.
Lars, don't cheat. You look like you're over there Googling it.
Yeah.
not.
Dixon is.
Okay. You guys, what is going on?
Which means these 2 teams, traditional powers, they haven't done well in their opening games throughout time.
All right. We will have the answer to Andy's mysterious World Cup quiz question, where you might win an assortment of wild prizes or maybe nothing at all at the very end of today's episode, just to force you to listen to the whole damn thing. It's time for break 1. When we come back, it was, oh, what a day, to quote our friend Dion. We'll do that next here on World Cup Kick-Around.
Hey, I didn't know you could find Curacao on a map, Peter.
Well,
I can't wait to
I was thinking
enjoy
about
you doing this in
I
front
know,
of me.
I know Andy absolutely could find both Curacao and Croatia on a map. Lars, could you find Curacao and Croatia on an unlabeled map?
I mean, Croatia, obviously.
Yeah, okay.
You know what? Curacao, I wouldn't put my house on it, because I feel like all those Caribbean countries.
All those Caribbean countries, all those non-European countries around the world, they're just there on the
listen,
map. And,
I can find you Kyrgyzstan if you want, but it's for me, the Caribbean is just like a cluster of wonderful places that I can't afford to visit.
Sometimes
so
a
they're
lot of
not
people
really present in my head.
A lot of people here look at Europe that way, like it's a glob over
Yes.
there, just south of the UK,
Yes.
and there's just a bunch of.
get-
I can.
Yeah,
What are the
yeah.
2 countries I get mixed up all the time?
Oh,
Albania?
that's really bad, because
Armenia,
my
'cause they're not
significant
even-
other is from Armenia, and you keep saying Albania, and that is a very big difference. Both
And not only that, they're not even
culturally,
close to each other.
geographically.
Yeah.
Very true story. When Andy and I's friendship was relatively new 30 gabillion years ago, I accidentally once introduced Andy as my Peruvian friend. And I literally thought he was going to rip my head off, because that's probably the worst possible thing you could call a Chilean is Peruvian. So
It's not like Norway and Sweden, Lars. Just
No,
so you know,
it's a
so
very
you
big-
understand. It's
Kick-Around Geography podcast. That's coming soon to you.
1,795 miles from Armenia to Albania, by the way.
Okay. I'm an American
It's
idiot.
Just,
I get it.
it's a very big difference.
All right. We'll move on to all the games that we have yet to talk about, the games that are coming up here in just a little bit. But first, I thought we should absolutely out of the box.
boom.
Man. Yeah, okay, so here it is. Andy and I went to the game separately. We each went with our wives yesterday. Japan, the Netherlands, Dallas Stadium, Jerry World, whatever you want, and just the whole experience yesterday, Andy, from me, big A++.
100%. I mean, first of all, World Cup game, just the fact that we went to the first one in the 2026 series of games here. That was super cool, historic, all that stuff. You and I have been covering the Dallas soccer scene for a long time. And we've been talking about this tournament coming here for a long time, and it was finally here, and we were there. And so that was cool, just on a personal level, right?
Yes.
But
let me just say this. I'm so proud to be from North Texas and be able to experience that.
Yeah.
That to me was just a source of great pride.
yeah, and the fact that we will have hosted 15 when it's all said and done, one of the top 5 cities all-time World Cup that hosts the most games, super cool. But now, from the stadium perspective, because I know that and I've worked the stadium operationally, like on the inside, and it's one of the best, if not the best, facility to work at behind the scenes, at least that I have worked at.
And you've done this at 100 stadiums.
Anywhere.
In the world.
The staff at Dallas Stadium, AT&T, is superb. So I'm not talking about it from that perspective. From the perspective of a fan, we've talked about, you go to a game, it's just the giant screen and the atmosphere, this and that. And it was amazing. It was amazing for soccer, seeing it played on grass. It seemed more intimate. I don't know if did you make the observation?
Yes.
That you think they raised the screen?
Yeah. Oh, they absolutely raised the screen at least an additional 10, 20 feet in the air. Because I've been in that stadium before, and it was nowhere near as low as I feel like it is. Because I think, obviously, raising the surface of the field 2 feet to accommodate all the dirt and grass and everything, I think they had to do it for that, too.
Yeah.
Plus, who knows? Some guy's going to get horny to kick the ball into the
just
the
sees it there
and I gotta try.
Yeah, one of the keepers.
So didn't get to do that.
And walking into the stadium, did you get to feel a little bit of the atmosphere? Like I got a chance to go to Texas Live real quick. That was like crazy. But just around the stadium, too.
Yeah, so walking, because I chickened out. My wife and I, no, my wife didn't. I chickened out at the last minute and it did not take the train because suddenly I had a concern about trying. It's the very first time they've ever done this. If it's going to go haywire, yesterday would have been the day. Yeah. And I was not worried about getting there easily. I was worried about long lines when everybody
leaves at once,
aggressed
right?
and tried to get to the shuttle, then to the train. And I thought, let me let this happen once. So we chickened out and carpooled with some friends.
Yeah.
And walking into the stadium was great because normally I get aggravated when people walk slowly or get distracted and the flow of humanity is not going
shocking,
away.
Right, Lars?
But yesterday was cool because it was all Dutch and Japanese people.
Very efficient.
Who were here.
Yeah, they were keeping time.
No, they all kept slowing down and getting distracted because they would turn the corner, see the stadium.
And take their picture.
And they were like, holy crap, that thing is huge.
Yeah.
And they couldn't believe what they had just seen in person up close.
Yeah.
And again, I'm biased that way. I'm really, really proud of all of this. So to see that kind of reaction, I thought was great. So going around outside the stadium, all the fans was tremendous.
Yeah. And then inside, there's that energy. You felt that energy, right?
Yes. Yes.
That World Cup energy that everybody in the building knows they're at a World Cup game, so it's extra special. And I know the World Cup and the Super Bowl and all these important sporting events with time are getting more and more corporate. It's corporate seats and all that. So there's a little bit of that too with World Cup, just like other sporting events. But you could still feel the energy, especially once the Japanese supporters started doing their thing. And man, huge, huge props to them. It looked like at first that they were outnumbered 8-1, but when it all settled in, it was about 3-2. I would say, because the orange stands out more than the blue.
I was thinking it was 70-30.
I think it was closer than that because the blue is not as you see the orange right away. It pops.
Yeah, and where I was seated was right in the mix of a bunch of Dutch fans and
exactly.
and families and stuff. So
yeah, you were in the Dutch family section,
the WAG section. Did
now,
you know, surprisingly enough, professional soccer players' wives and girlfriends are all alarmingly attractive?
Yeah, shocking.
I had no idea.
Shocking. Now, I have
News
a question.
to me.
I have a question for you, and this will eventually trickle to Lars because he will know the best. But let's start with us because we're not often around it. But the Dutch had great scenes prior to the game. The bus, the march, thousands dancing, singing.
Yes.
All that stuff. So you expected them inside the stadium to be a little bit more vocal than they were. And I've been to games in Holland I've been to Ajax and other Champions League. They are loud. They are proud. There's dancing and music. And I think the Japanese won that battle yesterday. And so I'm wondering why. And I have a theory I want to throw your way. First of all, did you notice the same?
Yes, so much so because before the game started, there was all sorts of production going on in the stadium, and they did some sort of traditional pregame Holland song, and suddenly all of the Dutch fans came to life, and they all sang the song, and they were all jumping up and down. The guy behind me spilled beer on us, and
where they dance shoulder on shoulder.
Yes, and I thought, this is going to be a long day. And then the game started, and they just kind of were quiet. Yeah. And my wife at one point went, "Why aren't the Dutch fans?"
Keeping up with the Japanese.
Because all you could hear were the Japanese fans.
So my theory is that the Japanese fans, for the most part, we're we're Japanese fans. We're from Japan. We're Japanese. The Dutch fans, there were a lot of American fans that are fans of the Dutch team. And they wear their orange, and they followed, since Cruyff days to the present. I mean, they're a fun team to follow in international soccer, right? They're good. But they don't know. They just don't get into it like the other. So is that kind of, Lars?
And that's something I'm also thinking about with various European countries that come over here, is that it's expensive to travel here this summer with flights and hotels and the ticket prices that we've spoken a lot about and everything. So the people who do come from Europe and from various countries, to what extent they're regular football fans, or whether they're the segment of the population who can afford to do a couple of weeks in the US in the middle of the high tourist season, I think there's not that Venn diagram is
with the exception of the Scots, because we know the Scots are here. Right, they were loud. We've seen them around town.
So I'm not saying I'm saying I am curious to see what this. My personal suspicion is that it'll be a lot of this, but I'm open to be proved wrong.
Well, the only reason why I found it confusing was because every single Dutch fan in the stadium, whether they're American or traveled over from Holland, went nutso when that song went off before the game. And then in the game itself, they all just kind of fell quiet, while the Japanese fans, who didn't have really much, I didn't see anything organized outside of the stadium, they were insane. That song they just sang repeatedly over and over just went on and on.
I started singing it after a while.
It was,
you became indoctrinated.
It was nuts. It was really, really
and
impressive.
it made me really root hard for that tying goal, because I wanted to see the place explode.
Well, we also had predicted too.
There's a little bit of that.
We didn't want
too.
Lars to get it out over us with that.
I think I'm not doing well.
All right, let's spend a few minutes talking about the game itself, because it was a draw. I'm just going to ask Lars this question. When did the Dutch get boring?
Yeah. Well, Ronald Koeman is not the most exciting, adventurous of coaches.
Where is total football?
No, that's not been a thing for a while. And I think if you also just see the composition of the squad, they've got a really strong back line. They've got some pretty, technically competent midfielders, but like Crescencio Somerville is kind of the most exciting winger type they have, and he just got relegated with West Ham. This is not Ian Robin and Wesley Sneijder and the boys. This is a very different type
It's not.
of group.
I think none of us really have them going semifinals, right? I don't think you did, Peter.
No.
So we kind of see that a little bit, but I don't know.
It was just,
I think Memphis Depay still being in the lineup is sort of
indicative.
It was interesting how the third and fourth quarters, my new soccer joke, was way better than the first.
Not even
two
a joke,
quarters, they were just so slow. There was zero transition in this game.
I haven't seen their pass map, but I suspect it is what sometimes the analysts jokingly refer to as the horseshoe of doom, because you end up like the Japanese were defending quite compact, and so you end up passing it like the wingers are up to the sides, and then you create almost this horseshoe that you just send the ball back and forth around. Because anytime you try to go into the middle, there's no space for anything, and you have to kind of have guys who can challenge one-on-one, get past someone, create some chaos, or you can loft it into the box to a big guy. But I think there was watching it from the sofa that there was a lot of horseshoeing of doom going on.
Well, it's interesting because I thought what was wild at the end of the game was that the Japanese, who were so visibly tiny compared to the Dutch, just kept chunking balls into the box, and you thought you were wasting your time
because
and
everyone
yet that's how they ended up tying the game.
It is. Most of them were cleared until the one they finally scored on. So maybe they knew
Have either
something.
one of you been made aware of what the Japanese coach was doing with the whiteboard on the sideline? Have you heard or seen this story? Lars, have you seen
not
this?
communicating how many minutes were left or stuff like that? I don't know.
No, people were suggesting he was sending plays into the team.
Quarter routines.
And he was using a loophole because this is not against the law. There's nothing digital. He's literally handwriting on a whiteboard, 1, 2, or 3.
Like Omaha, left wide, things like
and
that.
holding it up. Yeah, it was really wild.
I like that.
I'd be curious to find out what the real full story is on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he held up the number 1 and they scored the tying goal.
Wow.
Interesting stuff.
It was like, 1, this is the time we out jump them.
Yeah.
By the way, it was Van Dijk that got beat on that header.
Yeah. Did you see the little itty bitty nudge he took right when the ball? Yeah. There's a guy who kind of bodies him just enough to throw him off.
There was some clever blocking going on.
There was some smart Japanese engineering going on.
They were fun though. The second half was fun, but the Japanese they were fun to watch.
The second half got better, and they're very skillful across the board, and they do things at a high tempo.
Yeah,
they're not a bad team. I just think the height advantage will be a problem. I think this will be a set-piece-tastic tournament. I think early indicators are set pieces are going to be a big deal.
Well,
they haven't even
have
England
the coach
yet.
with the plays, though. So, you know, like, I don't know.
Is one of the plays grow taller suddenly?
No, it was the block Van Dijk play.
Yeah.
Man, every one of those Japanese player has a level of ball skill that is off the charts.
No, that's true.
It's really impressive how good they are on the ball.
After the goal, did you watch any of the highlight, or did you go watch the game at all afterwards?
Just highlights. Yeah.
The reaction, the guy tying the goal, the place going nuts, the shot of him celebrating, it was awesome.
Yeah, I didn't know about Wataru Endo getting injured and retiring. I had not heard that story. So they had his jersey there with them and held it up and all that. Super emotional. And then, of course, the Japanese fans cleaned everything up. In fact, there was a Japanese fan behind us, and as we were walking out, I turned around and he had the biggest armload of garbage.
You know that they give them
the bags.
The bags.
Yes.
They give them bags,
and they use the bags as a sound effect and a cheering device during the game. It's insane.
Also interesting, after the game, the Japanese coach Hajime Moriyasu made a point of thanking the Dutch football for their help, their contributions to Japanese football over the years. Because in the 90s, when the Japanese were getting more serious about developing their game, a lot of the early coaches that went over to teach them were Dutch. Like they brought Dutch coaches, which I think that's a footprint you can really see in the Japanese team. Like very good close control, appreciation of space, a lot of passing triangles. Like it's not total football; it's more regimented. But there were a lot of Dutch guys going on.
All right, 2-2 between the Dutch and the Japanese, which is a score that we thought would take place. Now, how that
you and I, Peter,
changed?
thought
Yes,
that.
that's true. Now, how much that is different now that the Swedes got the result that they got, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. When we come back, we will get into all the mountain of games that have happened since we last did a show, and we'll run through them very quickly with really smart insight. We'll do it next here on World Cup Kick-Around.
Do you know what this is?
It sounds like a different language version of a song that I hear on.
It's Croatian.
It is the Croatian song. Do you know what? Do you speak Croatian?
No.
I should probably check the lyrics on that one, but let's just.
Let's let it go.
Thanks, Lars. A Croatian FCC fine is inbound due to Lars's failure to. Hey, welcome back to World Cup Kick-Around. We're here every Monday through Friday night at 7 p.m. right after the hard line. And then we will have a show like we normally do on Saturdays, 2 to 4. Yes, USA-Australia is happening on Friday at 2 o'clock, and there's some rumors brewing that there's an event being screwed together.
Ooh.
Maybe some ticket theater, maybe? Yeah, so we'll find out how that all happens. All right, let's get into the games that we haven't talked about since we were last on the air, which was Saturday afternoon. We'll start off on Saturday with which was the most high profile of all the games. At the venue that the final is at, Brazil won, Morocco won. Lars.
Yeah, the lyrics are fine. There's nothing here.
Okay, don't worry about it.
I want to check those things. You never know with that. The sort of fight songs of the Balkans, like that's a total minefield. I should have been ahead of that one.
Fair enough.
We're good. It's all very wholesome. Morocco, Brazil, Morocco was a lot of fun. I thought that lived up to its billing in terms of. I mean, we talked it up as one of the big clashes of the group stages, and I thought it was that. Morocco were tremendous from the off. Really aggressive, really assertive, really fearless, but they missed those early chances, and that was the thing. They had a couple of really good chances early on, and they didn't take the lead in the beginning. They scored one goal, but they should have had more. Brazil came back into it. Vinicius Jr. looked good, but I come away from that thinking that Morocco are legit, and that Brazil have some tinkering to do. I mean, that was our pre-tournament take on Brazil, is that they're not. It looks odd, their setup. We don't really like it, but they've got a lot of good players in there, and they've got a lot of good They've got a very good manager.
I do think they are going to settle into the tournament because they do have a good manager and they do have talent, and he's figuring things out. Shout out to you, by the way, Lars. You called Vinny Jr. as one of your possible.
That's very kind of you, because we're going to come to some pretty bad calls from me later in the show. So you're just kind of giving me this one earlier. Vinny did look good, and Vinny. This is true. Vinny Jr. looked happy.
Yes.
I thought that was noticeable. I think he was enjoying himself out there, and I think that's the big thing.
That's a great observation, and he loves that coach because, from Real Madrid days.
And I think the other thing to keep in mind is he's that kind of player who single-handedly can, like he did in this game, change it. And I would make the argument that after he scored the goal, the entire game changed, and Brazil suddenly got more confident, took more control of the game, and I wonder if this is kind of an omen of what's, to your point, is going to happen with Brazil as the tournament goes on. So Brazil won, Morocco won. Next up, the Haitians and the Scots. Andy, you're Scottish.
Yeah, the other two in this group, and I think, Brazil and Morocco showed that they were the class. After watching Haiti and Scotland over some good sushi with Lars. Scotland, I think, were surprised a little bit that Haiti came out the way they did with a little bit of pressing and showing a lot of courage. I thought Haiti showed a lot of courage. Yeah. This is what we've talked about Haiti. They're a team that's faced adversity. They are going to give you a tough game. If this was the third game in group play, I think Haiti might win that game. But Scotland was rested enough. The heat's not a factor yet. And they pull out the 1-0 squeaker.
Man, that header in added time by the Haitians that just
close.
Yeah, wide.
I know. Yeah.
But congratulations to the Scots for getting the point, 1-0 over Haiti. And then the one that I woke up. I couldn't do it. I couldn't stay up for the overnight game, and I woke up the next morning feeling all giddy and thinking about, I'm going to a World Cup game today, totally forgetting that Australia and Turkey happened. And Lars, I turn on my phone, and lo and behold, Lars.
Is there a lot of me swearing in the group?
Yeah. Yes.
They've done it again.
Australia 2, Turkey.
I can't believe. I knew it. We even said that. Like the dark horses that disappoint you, and then there they go, and they disappoint you. Okay, let's just take it in order here. Turkey had 72% possession, and they had 30 shots. But this is an example of where the numbers don't really tell the story of that, because we watched this, Andy, and they were never that dangerous.
No,
they were taking a lot of pot shots from range. They took 16 out of those 30 shots were from outside the box. If you're taking 16 shots from outside the box, the game plan is not working. That simply shouldn't be happening. And they were frustrated.
But you kept saying something leading up to this match in our previews that don't discount the Australians. They're very athletic. They know how to play tournaments and all that was true, and so you were like,
but I spend a lot of time sitting on the fence, Andy. You'll have noticed this, but I do think mid 90s Team USA, I think, is the touchstone for what Australia are.
Yeah,
and they're good, but the interesting subplot of this, Hakan Çalhanoğlu, the sort of midfield controller for Turkey, plays for Inter. He basically dissed Australia ahead of the game. Like he said, we have a lot more talent than them, and we're going to dominate the game and stuff. And he was confronted with this by an Australian journalist after the game, and he sort of, we did dominate, we had the ball all the time, and they scored 2 goals from 2 long balls. And I was like, man, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Like, they had a lot of possession, but they were not creating openings. And I think if they came out of that thinking we actually did a lot of things right, we just didn't finish our chances, then I worry for them because they need to be better.
Yeah, but that said, the Australian goalkeeper had a blinder. I mean, if we're going to compare them to like mid-90s, 94 USA or
also, you had great goalkeepers.
Yeah, we had. That's exactly
he was
the reason.
in the Brad Friedel, Casey Keller role.
Yeah, I mean, he stood on his head. He made some incredible saves in that.
Australian Tim Howard.
Okay, I have a question for you, Peter. Now, because this very much affects it's the U.S. group, right? So what? Now what from the U.S. perspective? Like,
I love it. Let me put it this way. I love it because I'm so fascinated by what I saw Friday night by the Americans and how good it was. I'm having a hard time believing that it's even real. Yeah. And I think the Australians will give the U.S. a different game, make it even more difficult than the Paraguayans did. And I'm dying to know if we get more of what we saw last week as this tournament progresses and Pochettino has to deal with different types of teams.
But a good result, I think, for the U.S. as well, especially since Turkey now has a -2 goal difference. That might come into play.
And their Americans are +3.
Yeah,
there's a big gap that's going on there. I'm so freaked out by how good the U.S. played. I just want to see this. I want to see it continue. And now that Australia has kind of laid a marker down for being as good as they were against the Turks, that just means beating up on Australia, if that happens, means that much more.
I'm not sure this was a good result for the U.S. because A, it means Australia are better than we thought. B, it means Turkey are going to be desperate for points, so they're not going to rest anyone.
Against Paraguay, who are also
But
desperate.
also against the U.S. In the last game.
True.
But also, it could just mean Turkey are bad, full stop. Like, this is something we have to consider.
The box of chocolate theory.
Very briefly, because we keep saying just that they're good and athletic. There's the specific player who scored the first goal for Australia was terrific, Nestri Irankunda. And he has an interesting story. He was actually born in a refugee camp in Tanzania, and his parents were from Burundi, and they were refugees. And then they moved to Perth in Australia when he was just 3 months old, and he grew up there. Big hero for them, and actually celebrated. Big soccer heads will have noticed he celebrated in the manner of the Australian soccer hero Tim Cahill by punching the corner flag. He ran over and did the punching of the corner flag, which was Tim Cahill's celebration always.
We saw a lot of that.
And he said
here.
it was a tribute to him after the game.
That was sweet. Very nice. All right, to finish up the segment, Germany 7.
Yeah.
Curacao. I mean, for a minute, we thought, we're going to get another crazy game.
Yeah, look, that one goal, that was Curaçao's World Cup. I mean, that's awesome. But we don't know what Germany had. I mean, this was for all intents and
it's hard.
It was
a
training session, right?
Can I make an argument?
Yeah.
That I know a lot of people are freaked out or concerned about this, the addition of the added teams and the addition of the lesser minnow nations.
And out-of-control scores.
But let's look. Haiti gave Scotland a good game. Qatar tied the Swiss. The other results Saudi Arabia today. This was the only blowout, and I kind of think the World Cup needs blowouts every once in a while because people enjoy all the goals. And
every World Cup has a blowout.
Yes.
You know, Spain beat Costa Rica 7-0 in their opening match last World Cup.
Yeah, and Germany beat Brazil 7-1.
In 2014,
not that long ago. So I understand why people have the concern, but I also think it's not necessarily if it was all of these teams were getting hosed, then maybe you'd have an argument. But that's not what we've seen so far.
And interestingly, those other minnows you mentioned, what they all did was defend really well and stay compact and structured. Curaçao were not doing that. They were playing quite brave.
They were. Let's give them credit for that. They're like, we're not going to just say, let's
they didn't
just
bunker.
go have fun.
No buses were parked,
and
they tried. And I think that made the game quite fun to watch.
Yeah.
And I will say this: I got a message from my mother after that game. Saying that she liked the Curaçaoans. She was like, they were terrific.
Okay.
Shame Germany won, but the Curaçao said that they're charming old ladies across the globe.
Lars, one line on Ivory Coast 1, Ecuador 0.
Really good game. 1-0 in the end. Looked like it was going to be 0-0, but high quality game. I came away thinking both of those will be awkward to face, whoever faces them in the knockouts.
We at some point have to have a bigger conversation about Jan Diamante 2 years ago playing Florida high school soccer.
Florida
and now
high
he's,
school.
Yes.
Bundesliga.
And he's probably going to get sold for 100 million
World
euros.
Cup.
Yeah.
Liverpool.
Yeah. 2 years ago was at an academy in Florida.
I know.
It's a crazy story. Crazy story. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get into the other games that we haven't talked about yet, including the big result against Spain today, next on World Cup Kick-Around. As we speak, Iran, Texan in me comes out. Iran and New Zealand are about to kick off over in L.A. Finally, they get to play, and we can just play soccer with the Iranians than all the other stuff that's going on. So we'll see. We'll keep everybody posted through the rest of the show. All right, welcome back. And also, before we get into anything else, I apologize to the P1s.
No?
My bad. I didn't stop down and kick Lars in the sack over his ridiculous bad Lars lock pick.
It was not good.
From Saturday, which was what, Lars?
It was the Turks over Australia.
To win.
Yeah.
Money line. Straight up.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's an unfortunate time for me to be alive.
And you also said that Australia would end up with 0 points. Did you not?
Those things, neither of those things will happen.
Lars, have you noticed? Have you noticed how I point out the good things and the things that you say that are smart, and Peter just wants to kick you?
I think you made a special effort to point out the good things this episode because you knew this was coming.
Yeah.
No, listen, I believe in accountability in soccer talk. You know, you got to own up to these things. The intro music here, by the way, was the Dutch. You may have noticed I think it's Euro 2010 or something.
Wish I would have heard some of that.
The music
inside the stadium.
Yeah, the music video includes a lot of the players.
I
from
think
the
that's
squad.
the song they played.
To open
when
they were all
before,
jumping.
Yeah,
I mean that would have been
down.
something. I mean the stadium would have gone nuts.
All right. Sorry, I had to stop down and do that. I felt like I'd let everybody down.
No, well, I definitely let everyone down. It was a terrible suggestion.
Lars, the other one that's kind of interesting because it relates to something we were talking about with the Dutch and the Japanese was the big result the other night. Sweden 5, Tunisia 1. Good Lord, Lars.
I think
where did the Swedes come up, or was this all just bad Tunisia?
It's both. It's both. And, I mean, the Tunisians have since fired their coach.
That's the second time they've done it.
Love a mid-tournament coaching sacking.
Oh,
that's always
my
great.
goodness. Not even mid-tournament. It's like it's 13 minutes in. You're gone.
Yeah, but he did apparently, reading the comments from people who follow Tunisian football much closer than I do, there were some baffling selections in the team lineup apparently, and certainly it didn't work very well. The Swedes are solid off the ball, and they have a couple of proper killers up front with the ball. I mean, if you look at the goals, there was some goofy stuff by the Tunisians for sure. They were a little lucky. The goalkeeper was not good. But you have two proper world-class strikers there, in Victor Gyökeres and Alexander Isak. Gyökeres, who is such a handful physically, like the combination of mobility and strength that he has, not always the most elegant. Sometimes takes a little too long to get his shot off. All this stuff that Arsenal fans are aware of, but he does so much damage as well. And Isak, who is looking like he's getting back to his proper self.
Make Andy's Liverpool pants go nuts.
Yeah, but then also two tremendous long shots from Yassim Ayari, whose father is Tunisian, by the way.
Yes.
The midfielder for Sweden who scored 2 goals there.
Subdued celebration, too.
Subdued celebrations, which I think is completely understandable because he even considered playing for them, apparently, when he was younger. He had the option of representing Tunisia, and his father has actually said publicly that the kid was considering it, but it was actually his father who pushed him towards representing Sweden out of, to show some gratitude for the country where they've been welcomed and where they've made a life for themselves. So clearly a very emotional game for him and a terrific performance. Midfielder for Brighton, who's had a good season in the Premier League as well.
By the way, Sweden with a +4 goal difference and 3 points, looking pretty good for advancement, even if it's just as a wild card, but looking pretty good for Sweden.
Well, it does certainly put a different angle on the Japanese and Dutch draw because I think we all just kind of assumed those two teams were going to be number 1 and 2, and the way the Swedes played now makes that look a little bit different. Earlier today, I thought we were going to get the back-to-back upset first rounds by the Saudis as they end up getting a 1-1 draw against the Uruguayans.
Yeah, the draw ultimately I don't think was an unfair result because I think Saudi Arabia played actually quite well. And this is just I think we all expected Uruguay to look a little different as a Bielsa team. They're not a typical Bielsa team, and he tried to make this a Bielsa team early in his tenure during qualifying. There was a big revolt in the room, and so he had to tweak some things.
Darwin Núñez came off very
He
early.
came on at halftime. It was very hot and humid in Miami where they played the game. And the heat, obviously, I think, favors Saudi Arabia a little bit.
But Darwin Núñez has effectively been unemployed for. I mean, he wasn't registered to play. His team in the Saudi league. His team in the Saudi league brought in Karim Benzema in the winter window and then deregistered Darwin Núñez because they had too many foreigners.
Waived,
so he hasn't
basically.
been playing.
He was waived.
Yeah,
the baseball term.
Yeah, so he hasn't been playing football for months.
I was surprised he started. Like when you saw him in the starting lineup. Were you surprised?
Yes, I'm kind of surprised somebody in Major League Soccer hasn't picked him up if he's just running around
he
looking
might.
for
He might eventually.
He's available.
Good Lord, he would cause so much havoc and chaos in Major League Soccer if
That'd
somebody
be kind
would
of
pick him
funny. I
up.
kind of hope that happens, though.
Yeah.
We're not going to spend a ton of time on this game, but one observation is in the first half, Uruguay had 5 shots. In the second, they had 22.
Yeah, the Saudi keeper now has the most saves in a single game in this tournament from this result.
But that was all in the second half, and it was towards the end of the second half as well.
Yeah, last 10 minutes it was
the
all
bombardment only came towards the end after they scored the first goal, and that maybe Saudi tired, I don't know, but a heroic defensive effort by the Saudis for sure.
I had eyes on the Belgium-Egypt game earlier today, which another one ended up 1-1. Egypt with the surprise goal early, really nicely taken. Belgium just gave him a little bit too much space, but his first touch and his right foot really just rocketed that shot. And Belgium just, man, this is one of those teams that I point to as an example to other people who are just coming into the game, that just because you have players with names playing for big teams doesn't mean you instantly have a good national team.
No,
and Belgium again just aren't clicking.
Also, still relying too much on that older the golden generation, which is now the older generation. Lukaku, how many seconds was it?
Well, that was the thing I was going to ask you guys, because maybe we don't have time to do it today, but I do think there's a growing conversation to be had about how the hydration breaks suddenly now seem to be some sort of power up that have allowed teams are scoring relatively shortly after the.
Are they? Is this fact? Have you looked this up?
Yes, there's starting to happen. Yes,
and what we're definitely seeing is teams who are struggling get a reprieve. Like if you're being put under pressure, suddenly there's a 3-minute break. I mean, it's fantastic, but there's a reason. That's why it isn't just a little break to drink water. It completely changes
it's a TV
the way
timeout.
the game is played.
Right. Romelu Lukaku came on right after the hydration break, and I swear he was on the field less than 30 seconds when the cross ball came in. I thought he scored it. It turned out it was an own goal, and the game ended up 1-1.
Yeah, it was 17 seconds, I think, is what they said, something like that.
Yeah. So that obviously makes that group interesting. And then the other big game, the big one of the day with the result that shocked everybody, was the donuts between tournament favorites Spain and debutantes Cape Verde.
Hey, Lars, horseshoe of doom here for Spain?
Yeah, to put it mildly, there was a stack of horseshoes around that box. Really quite, I mean, an incredible defensive performance by Cape Verde, who are, I mean, they're not quite as minnowy as some of the other minnows, I would say.
They won their group with a Cameroon in it.
Yeah, and they were in the quarterfinals of the Africa Cup of Nations in 2023, so they have some kind of tournament pedigree. They're not quite, you wouldn't compare them to Curacao, but you still would not expect them to get anything off of Spain. Their goalkeeper, the 40-year-old Vozinha, who plays for Chavez, I think is in the second tier of the Portuguese football. An absolutely heroic figure in goal here. I compared him to, I put out a photo on Twitter that he was basically, do you know when that tanker got stuck in the Suez Canal? That was essentially his performance in this game. It was just nothing's going past this thing. He's not. It was pretty extraordinary. And there's a couple of extraordinary numbers coming out of this as well. One that I think is interesting to the story of what went wrong here. Cape Verde, I think, conceded only one foul in this game.
How do you end up in a donut game against Spain and only get called for one foul?
I have a theory, and I want Lars to tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Okay.
Is it because Spain's possession is harmless and they're just doing the horseshoe of doom and you don't have to foul them?
I kind of think that's it. It's the fewest fouls from any World Cup team on record since 1966. It's not happened since 1966. That's not. I think it's the horseshoe of doom. They're just passing the ball around, and Cape Verde are staying in their shape. The other thing I want to add, they weren't trying to dribble them. Like, this is what you have to do sometimes.
Until Yamal came on.
Yamal comes on and tries to do things. Nico Williams comes on and try to do things. But, like, if you had proper wingers trying to go past people on the field for 90 minutes, you're not getting out of there with one foul. Like, it's not possible. And I think it's a sign of the Spanish just being too happy passing the ball around. There's no all tiki, no taka.
How do you feel about the team you picked to win it all then, Lars?
I think they will be a very different team when Lamine Yamal is playing. But the question is, if he's not 100% fit, like, can he get fit mid-tournament? Does that even work?
Yeah.
I'm a little bit worried that with both him and Nico Williams not being considered fit enough or being rested for this game, those are the two guys that kind of changes the pattern, that really does something. So I don't... that wasn't... I never say... It wasn't a lock. It wasn't the...
Did you pick him in the final, Peter, or did you pick France in the final? On the other... Because I know you picked England to win it.
I did. I can't remember if I had Spain or France. I'll have to go back and
look.
look.
That's okay.
And this is where I asked the question, can I change my golden boot prediction pick? Because
you had Yamal.
No, I had... I can't say his name, Lars.
Oyazabal.
Yeah, I had Oyazabal.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to make fun of you because of the Australia fiasco, but Andy, you should make fun of me.
Yes.
He touched the ball like once in the first half.
Let's not. Okay, one match, things can turn around. But I will say this. Spain won the tournament in 2010. What else have they done in a World Cup?
Okay.
Oh, Andy is late.
He's slamming the table.
He's hitting the table.
Yeah.
He's so
He's shouting.
Point made, Andrew.
Okay.
So sorry for those of you that picked Spain to win it all.
Why do you hate the Spanish?
I don't. But
clearly, did you see the anger and angst about the Spanish there, Lars?
There was a lot of anger there. We want to throw in, while we're at the game, this is a tweet from Colin Miller, the Cape Verde centre-back Robert Pico Lopez has spent his entire career in Ireland, which is not a hotbed of club football, really. The Irish men's league is not very strong. He ignored a LinkedIn message from the Cape Verdean FA asking him to play for them because it was in Portuguese. A year later, they sent it in English. He accepted. And
So he didn't put it through Google Translate, just curiosity.
It was just a suspicious LinkedIn message in Portuguese. You wouldn't ignore.
How much weird crap do you get on LinkedIn? Would you?
In Portuguese?
Well, yeah, you would, because you speak Portuguese, yes. Yeah.
But as much as this was a heroic defensive performance, we're still no one has matched our boys from Bosnia in the number of defensive contributions per 90 stakes. I mean, Dini Borges, the one of the defenders from Cape Verde, is up there. But Nikola Katic and Tarik Muaremovic, the two centre halves, the two defenders for Bosnia, are so far still number 1 and 2 in the defensive actions stakes. I think this
further reinforcing the fact that Canada blew it against Bosnia. Got it.
Yes. Thank you. It is also interesting to point out, Sunday we had 2 games featuring 7 and 5 goals by one team. Today we had 3 straight draws, donuts and hockey sticks in 2 other games.
Regression to the mean, Peter.
Regression to the mean. All right. I'm kind of proud of us for getting through all that in 2 segments, which means we get a bonus segment of World Cup Kick-Around previewing tomorrow's stuff, and we'll do that next. Hang tight, P1. We will give you the answer to Andy's mysterious World Cup question before the very end of this segment, and I have a guess that I'm sure is wrong. Actually, I feel kind of positive about it. We'll see. Which one is this?
Oh, this is the Swedes.
Oh, this.
My heart is beating for Sweden.
Mark that, Lars saying that.
His heart beats for Sweden.
I mean, they deserve it after yesterday. What a win for them.
Lars, Swedish women or Norwegian women?
I can't answer that on air.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I'll get in trouble.
Wow, did you hear?
Okay.
There's really no one in my life I won't get in trouble with if I answer.
So you're gonna just piss off one set or another.
There's
Got
just
it.
really
okay.
no way to get out of that.
Yeah. Okay. We'll just ask you off air then.
Dear P1, Lars's single and love life that I've known over time is just fun to listen to.
It's an ever-evolving
It's great to
scene.
live vicariously through
It's a
Lars.
scene.
It is a scene. It's a
Yeah.
whole thing, 100%.
Yeah.
All right, let's finish up today's show by talking about the big games tomorrow, and we will start off with the one I think we've all been looking forward to for some time. The French facing off against Senegal at 2 p.m. on Fox.
Yeah, I mean, this is the group with France, Norway, Senegal, and Iraq.
Sorry, I did that backwards. Let's talk about Group I.
Okay.
The group of death people.
The group of glory,
Yes.
Peter.
Yeah, group of death because it's France, Norway, and Senegal. Iraq, I feel bad for them. You know, watching Iraq qualify in their playoff games, I was just thinking, man, France, Norway, and Senegal are drooling that this is going to be the team in their group. But
to go through all of that angst and fight and
Yeah,
everything, only
exactly.
to end up in this group, just seems so unfair.
So just off the bat, France is my pick to win it all. I have them going through all the way to the final and then winning the final. I do like, as a handicapper, Lars, as a handicapper, I do like the fact that they play all their games in the Northeast. They don't have a lot of travel. Heat will perhaps be a factor a little bit with, I don't know if it affects France as much as it affects England and Norway.
I agree.
So not as much of a factor, less travel. I think here in this group, Norway and Senegal, which one finishes second? That's the big question.
Yeah, and obviously we start against Iraq tomorrow. This means a lot to us in a lot of ways, not just about like Iraq and the game and the group. I mean, we haven't played a World Cup match in 10,227 days.
Wow, you're rusty.
So this is quite a big deal for us, and it's You say that about Iraq, but I am still kind of. There's a part of me that's a little worried because I feel people are now. Norway have been dark horsed so hard that people are now overrating us a little bit.
I have a question for you. What is Iraq's plan to stop Erling Haaland? What have they drawn up on the chalkboard?
I think the challenge. The challenge with this is that Norway are probably best if we can counterattack, because Erling is absolutely unstoppable when you can release him into space. But if you drop deep to stop the counterattack, we have 2 6'5" guys we can put into the box and put crosses against all day, which is also not fun. So I don't think there is a great way. The thing we really don't deal super well with is if we are pressed quite aggressively by a team that also then doesn't leave a ton of space in behind. Like mid blocks that are very aggressive can be a problem for us because we're not that great at setting the pace and passing the ball around. That is the thing. So Morocco... The way Morocco played against Brazil, I mean, they did that to us last week in a friendly, and we did not enjoy it.
Can I give you a glimmer of hope for the Norwegians tomorrow? The weather in both Boston and New York is very temperate.
Is that weather.com or
your app again?
There needs to be a weather app for the World Cup, so let's go ahead and make one.
Listen,
it's going to be in the 70s in both of those towns tomorrow.
Listen, we should beat Iraq. It's just this procession of upsets that we're seeing that's giving me the heebie-jeebies, and the fact that I now speak to people who are not necessarily big soccer heads who are like, yeah, Norway, I heard they're good. Maybe they'll go to the semi-final. I was like, my guys, we've never won a knockout game. Settle down.
France has to start against a tougher opponent. Norway has Iraq, but France has Senegal. I have France actually winning that game. I think France, 1-0.
I have it 2-0 France.
A very combative affair with many red cards and injuries.
Well, that's what you hope. Yes, that's not what you hope.
This is Senegal versus the Colonial Masters. Let's
You're hoping this. Now, for the Norway-Iraq game, I have Iraq 0, Norway 4.
Okay.
Whoa. I have it Norway 2-1 over Iraq.
See, I think it'll be more like what Peter says, but that could... Listen, this is I'm not used to being involved in this. I am not used to having skin in the game. I've basically, my entire career of covering these tournaments, I've been a little interested. I've had some teams I like better, but I've never had my country involved. That's clearly doing things to my judgment that I'm not used to factoring in. Yes.
Yeah. Let's move on to Group J. So we've all figured France. I have France winning the group. Yes. Norway at 5 points. Senegal on 4.
Yeah.
Lars, what do you have for the group?
Yeah,
Andy,
I think
what do you have?
That is what I have.
Second and third in your order. Yeah.
All of that. Yeah. And Lars, do you same thing essentially?
I went back and forth so many times. See, I'm a mess. I'm not used to having skin in the game.
It's your team.
It's a disaster for me.
We all get to be like that about our team.
You know what I've ended up doing? I've got France winning it on 9 points.
Whoa.
Okay. Me predicting anyone to get 9 points is not going well so far in this tournament. I'm just saying, but that's what I have. I've got Norway in second on 4. Ahead of Senegal only on goal difference. Senegal
that's exactly what I have.
Yeah. And Iraq on 0.
All right, then we got Group J, Argentina, FIFA's #1 team, sitting comfortably in a group with Austria, Algeria, and Jordan.
Not the toughest group. Just because
It's a cushy group.
Yeah, yes, right. Austria's not they're kind of a middling Europe, and not that they're bad. They press, but I think this press of theirs is going to catch up to them eventually. Argentina opens up against Algeria. I think that they'll set the tone early. I don't have Argentina going far in the tournament, but I do have them winning this group. Lars?
Lars, Argentina, Algeria is today's Lars's lock of the day.
You say that instead, it's almost a mocking level of enthusiasm.
No, we expect slam dunk
it's a lock,
here.
Lars.
It just had an inauspicious start with the whole Australia debacle. No, I like. This is boring. I like Argentina to win, obviously, against Algeria, but I think Algeria...
so gun-shy already.
No, here's the thing we're adding. I think Algeria can keep it respectable. I don't think this is a blowout. I think Algeria are a pretty capable team. I think that Argentina, like a few other teams, might spend a couple of matches growing into the tournament.
Lars, people are going to put money on this because of you.
No, yeah, I'm going to put money on this because of me. Like, when you say stuff like this on air, you got to fall through on it. I lost money on Australia. Argentina to win, and fewer than 4 goals in the game, under 3.5 goals in total in the game.
All right. The one key game in this group is Algeria, Austria, the third game in Kansas City in the heat with a pressing team like Austria, and Algeria used to the heat. That's getting ahead, but that's a game to watch. I have Argentina winning the group. Austria finishing second, wearing out in the kickoff rounds and fading, and then Algeria getting through as a wild card.
Yeah, we have Argentina in town twice, playing in Dallas Stadium, Arlington. And so I have Argentina winning out 9 points. I have Austria getting 6 points with Algeria and Jordan on a single point.
Oh, so you don't have Algeria. You don't believe in Algeria. You are an Algerian naysayer. Okay, fair.
I have a history with Algeria.
Yeah. Scores for tomorrow, I have Argentina.
Very random.
Scores for tomorrow, I have Argentina 2-0 over
That's what
Algeria.
I got the same thing.
Me too.
And Austria 2-0 over Jordan.
I have Austria 1-0 over Jordan. That's
2-1 there, but we are definitely thinking in the same direction.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, very good. All right, before we go, as promised, it's time now to get the answer for Andy's mysterious World Cup quiz question.
So the 2 superpowers, those 9 teams that are considered the superpowers, only 2 of them don't have a winning record in opening games of World Cups. One is 500, one is way under 500. Peter, do you have any guesses?
I do. It's because it's 2 teams, and you set this up by including the fact that it not only was the 8 teams that had won the World Cup, but the 1 team that had been in the World Cup final 3 times and not won it.
Right.
So I am going to say the Dutch are one of the 2, and the other one is España.
Okay, Lars, any guesses?
You know what? I think England have a bad record in opening games, but Dutch will be the other one because of the final thing.
Okay, actually, no. Spain is one, and that was the easy one because they said it on the broadcast. Spain is a terrible, terrible first game in the World Cup team. Way losing record. They're terrible in World Cups. They've won it once, and that's it. And that's all they've done.
So he hates the Spanish.
I want them to win.
The other one, it's just because Lars picked them. The other one, the team is just at 500 is Uruguay.
Oh, yeah.
They both played today.
That makes sense. So
the little herring there, red herring for the Netherlands.
Oh,
they have a winning record in opening games, Peter.
Very good. Okay. Did you like that question,
It's
Lars?
because I grew up in the 90s where England were consistently underwhelming in tournaments.
That was a great guess,
Yeah.
but they've done okay.
Yeah,
they've done okay in opening games.
Man, if you got the answer to that question correctly, you should let us know, and we will figure out what amazing prize we probably will not give you.
Definitely not
after the
tickets
show,
to a
after
World
the
Cup
show. Very good. Congratulations to any of you P1s who may have gotten that one right. I love Andy's World Cup quiz question of the day, but I might like Lars's lock of the day even more.
We shall see.
What will Lars's lock of the day end up being record-wise by the end of this? He's 0-1 currently.
Stout,
So bad.
strong. It'll be a moneymaker
Talk
through.
me up again.
It's not a
Very
short
stressful.
sample size. It's over the length of the tournament. That's how this works, right, Lars?
Yeah.
It's over the
That
length
is
of the
100%
tournament.
true, but my morale has been
No,
my
no,
morale
no.
has been
Don't,
shook.
Lars, do not let Peter do this to you. Stay strong, my
I believe in you,
I'm gonna
Lars.
play
No,
golf
you
tomorrow.
don't.
We didn't fly you all the way over here.
You're like crushing them at the knees.
I'm so stressed
I
about
believe
Norway.
it.
I'm going to play golf tomorrow
Lars
morning.
is
just to
playing
settle
tomorrow.
down. Yeah.
Thanks, Dixon. Thanks, Jay. Thank you, P1s. Enjoy the World Cup. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 7 on the ticket.
See you.